friends. I hope I find you well once again. It's been a long time and I've really missed you. I hope as much as you have missed me. Today I would like to talk to you. I'd like to have a heart-to-heart talk with you over a very interesting issue. In the past we have discussed family, or we have actually discussed how we take care of our children. Today I would like to shift a little bit and talk about marriage. Now, one would want to know what marriage really is. I believe marriage is a commitment that one has to make to another, and that commitment has to last for a lifetime. So that is what I really wanted to discuss. I know most people who go into marriage usually find themselves locked in between the horns of dilemma, from not knowing what really to do, especially with youngsters who have just gotten into marriage for the first time. There are a few issues that affect people who have decided to get married. So today I'll probably talk about one of the issues that I have at hand. I have about 7 issues that we'll probably be discussing in the next few weeks. Today, in a few minutes, I would like to discuss about what I term my place in this marriage. It might be my place or your place in a marriage setup. Why I have termed this issue my place or your place in this marriage is because most people find themselves confused in terms of who is running the marriage between these two people, because marriage is a commitment between two people. So there are times when you would find that it's only one person who is running that marriage. I have seen people who have actually come to my office complaining that they don't know who is really running the marriage. Because there are some times when you find that a husband is the one who buys everything, right from the carpet, the curtains, and even the chandeliers. He makes all the choices by himself without even consulting the counterpart. So these are issues that usually come when especially youngsters have just gotten married. Sometimes it is caused by our backgrounds. Like myself, I come from a background whereby my father owned everything. As the head of the house, he was doing almost everything. So much that my mother had no say in running the family. I will probably come to a place where I will discuss the difference between these two institutions, a marriage and a family, because I don't believe that these are one and the same. So you'd find that a person may want to run the marriage exactly the same way he runs the family. So as I said, that the marriage is a commitment between two people. It's just two people. When I'm talking about marriage, we're talking about two people, the husband and the wife. But even in that setup whereby it's only two people, you discover that one is actually deprived of an opportunity to also contribute in as far as making choices is concerned. If we were to go into the Word of God in the book of Genesis chapter 5, it clearly tells us that God created them men and woman, and He both created them, and He called them men, and He blessed them. I would like to submit to you that they were both blessed. It wasn't one who was blessed more than the other. So I want you to understand that as we come into this union called marriage, we are equal halves of each other. That has to be understood. So much that it is not proper for one person to be making all the decisions. In many cases, you'd find that the woman is always complaining that she's not being consulted in terms of making decisions. So much that there is a confusion that where is my place in this marriage? This only doesn't happen with women complaining. You can also find that there are other setups where you find a man also complaining that I am always being told of something that has already been decided on without being consulted. So that is a thorny issue, especially in young marriages, which I believe comes from our backgrounds. We normally want to run our marriages the same way that our parents were running their marriages. But you will agree with me that what marriage used to be like in the past is different from what marriage is today. So much that it is very important for us to understand that we are equal halves of each other. No one has to be inferior or no one has to be superior than the other. We need to bring issues onto the table and discuss as equal halves of each other. It is very important. So this is always a problem with many marriages whereby one person is doing everything. I know that sometimes it comes from the fact that the one who has more economical power between the two always wants to run the show, which I believe is not proper. For a marriage to function properly, we need to understand that we all have important places in that marriage. We all have to put our heads together and discuss things together. One of the issues that I've seen to be a thorn in the flesh for most marriages is the issue of surprises. I remember there's a couple at one time that came to me for counseling. The issue was that the wife had bought a new set of couches. And when the husband came in and saw this new set of couches, he wasn't happy. He just came and sat on right on the position that he usually sits on and pretended as if he had not seen anything. And the woman realized that it had not gone down well with him. So when they consulted the aunt, the sister to the brother, the sister then brought the issue to the brother and asked him, why are you acting like that? To which he replied and said, I don't want to be surprised with these big things. So I'm trying to help us that in terms of surprising each other, there are small things that we can actually surprise each other with. Not to the extent of even buying a house without the knowledge of the other half. So the bottom line is we need to understand that as we come onto this marriage table, we must all have equal stakes. It is needless for me to say that people are created differently. If you look at a woman and a woman and a male, or a man and wife, or a husband and wife, you will discover that God has given us all of us has given us strong points, which might be weaker points to the other person. I call that blending. When two people come in together, we have different strong points. You'll find that probably by God's design, one is an introvert and another one is an extrovert. Like if you look at my issue, myself and my wife, if you look at our setup, I tended to speak out a lot. I'm a bit loud, whereas my wife is a bit silent. I think that has been the case by God's design because we must always blend each other. What I am strong at, you'd find that my wife is a bit weaker. And what my wife is strong at, I am a bit weaker on that. So that has been God's design so that when we come together, we come up to become a strong team. This I am saying so that we don't have a situation whereby one looks down on another. You cannot have a person who is completely useless. I believe that some things that I am weaker at, my wife always comes in and compliments me. So it's important for us to understand that we both have very important places in this institution called marriage. I'll give you one fun example. If you look at the book of 1 Samuel chapter 25, I think it's verse 18, we have a man whose name is called Nabal. And the Bible tells us that Nabal actually meant fool. And if you look at that story, Nabal made a very bad decision when he refused to give David and his men food, who had actually been very helpful in the past. When Abigail heard about this issue, she came and helped, because Abigail came in as a wiser person in that issue. So you find that Abigail was wiser than Nabal, which I think was by God's design as well, that you cannot have two fools coming together. You cannot have two people who are too loud coming together. It's always the issue that one is stronger than the other in a certain area, and one is also stronger than the other in a certain area, so that both parties come in together and complete each other. So this is very important when you are just getting married. You must understand that you cannot be an island all by yourself. You cannot be a guru on all things all by yourself. You need to accept the fact that there are things that you are not good at, that your wife will come in handy and also be able to help. Notwithstanding that the fact there are also things that you are very good at, that your wife may not be necessarily very good at. So we come in together to complement each other. If you forget everything that I said this morning, you need to understand that we are equal halves of each other. God has created us that way. So you cannot run the marriage all by yourself as a husband or all by yourself as a wife. A marriage will take two people coming together, blend each other, and make important decisions together, not only one person. The next issue that I would want us to discuss when we come back next time is the place of our relatives, because I believe that our relatives are also a thorny issue when it comes to our marriages, because you always find someone trying to poke in a long nose or his long nose into another person's marriage. So we'll be talking about that and the others maybe next time when we meet. But before I go, I would like to invite you to bring in contributions in the topic that I just discussed this morning. I discussed marriages, and I was talking about your place or my place in our marriage. Thank you.